Welcome to the Author Your Life podcast, where you can write a new script for your life and become the hero of your story. I'm your host, David McRae. You are the author of your life. Let's get started.
All you have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to you.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
It is not our abilities that show what we truly are. It is our choices.
Hello, story changers, and welcome back to another episode of the Author Your Life podcast. Today on the podcast, we have Estelle Keeber. Estelle is co-founder of the world's fastest growing network for women, as well as being mum to two energetic little boys. Since starting MIBA, Mums in Business Association, in June 2017, Estelle has helped thousands of women not only grow their business, but develop personally too. She is a keynote speaker, #1 bestselling author, has been featured in Forbes and been shortlisted for business and entrepreneurial awards. Sharing her journey through depression and domestic abuse, as well as some fabulous Instagram tips, Estelle shows the world that anything is possible. In our interview today, you will learn: give yourself permission to stop working. Be flexible with yourself. You can learn everything you need to get started through Google, and that change begins with a little belief in yourself. You're going to learn this and so much more in this interview with Estelle Keeber.
Okay, it's been a bit of an insane journey, to be fair. So if you had said to me 6 or 7 years ago that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now and connecting with the people that I'm connecting with, and my life has changed massively, and it's been an absolute roller coaster of a journey. So if we sort of go right back, I was a single mum. I became a single mum after being with my partner for 10 years. And throughout that time, it had been, a pretty toxic and unhealthy relationship. I was struggling with my mental health. I had always kind of had mental health issues. But after having, an ectopic pregnancy, multiple miscarriages, the toxic relationship, it all kind of came to a head after having my second son. And so when I separated from their dad, I was kind of at the lowest point that I'd ever been at. I was in a position where I didn't know what I was going to do next. I hadn't planned on being a single parent. I had no financial stability. I didn't really have a lot of people around me that were there to support me. It got so bad that at one point I was relying on food banks because there was just no government support. It was like a really, really scary time that I'd never imagined in my life. I'd thought about leaving a lot of times, and I knew that my life would change, but never did I imagine that it would change in the ways that it would change in. And so it was at this point that I realized, there was only me that could change this situation. There was no point, putting blame onto people. The government should have been there to help me. Yes, they should have done, but they weren't. So, I need to just push on through and figure out what am I going to do to get myself and my two sons out of this situation. So I started thinking, I didn't really know what skill set I had before I'd had my sons. I was a care assistant for about 10 years. And so that wasn't really a career that I wanted to go back into, because being a single mum, it was going to be difficult to work the flexible hours. But throughout the time I'd been having some counselling, I'd enrolled on a photography course for adults. And this was just supposed to be a creative outlet and part of my healing journey. But I realised that I had quite a passion for photography at the time. And so I ended up doing 3 years as an adult student, and then going on to qualify to teach. And so I didn't realize at the time that that's actually where my skill set was. For me, it was just a hobby, but then I realized, this could be my opportunity to become more financially stable. So I set up my own wedding photography business, which, like I say, I had this huge passion for photography, but absolutely no idea how to run a business, none whatsoever. So I'm one of these people that, if I go into something, I want to go into it 110%, or I just won't bother at all. So I was trying to learn everything I could learn. I was watching webinars at 2 and 3 in the morning that were being held, in different countries. So, I wanted to be there watching live because I'd have questions I would want answering. So I was super hungry to make it work, but it was so exhausting. It was so exhausting trying to learn all these different aspects of business. And at the same time, it was the first time in my life that I'd been in a position of working, but I was all by myself. There was no one there, to bounce ideas off or, for me to say, what do I do now? I had to do it all myself. And at this point, I was having a lot of conversations with my sister Leona, who was living in Wales at the time. She was mum to 5 children and had been married for about 6 years. She was in network marketing. And she was saying that the things that I was going through, that she was feeling the same, the isolation, the fact that we couldn't connect with people. You would go to business meetings, but it would be really difficult because who would have the kids? So we decided to set up a Facebook group that would be a place where women could go to and be themselves and share their tips and their knowledge on everything to do with, being a mum, being a woman. You didn't have to be a mum to join the group, but you did have to be a woman. And it was just a place that we wanted people to come to and feel safe in sharing everything that was going on with them, because we realized very quickly that we weren't alone. We were definitely not alone. And in the space of just under 3 years now, we have got a community of 56,000 women within our main Facebook group. We also, that led us on to thinking, in what other ways can we help to support other mums? And we really understand the struggles because we're mums and women ourselves. And I know that guys struggle in business and stuff, and I'm sure there's loads of great dad groups and men groups out there. But from a woman's perspective, we really understood the struggles. And so we set up child-friendly networking events. And I held the first one here in Leicester in August 2017. And there were around about 8 or 10 women attended with their children. It was the most amazing thing. Even if you have nieces and nephews and you take them out somewhere and they misbehave or they're running around and getting a little bit crazy and people are like shushing and tutting and, you get those looks. To be in a place where you could grow your business and learn from other women, but still have your kids there and still be being a mum at the same time and nobody was judging, was absolutely incredible. And so we decided we were going to launch these in as many places as we could. And we now have child-friendly networking events in over 250 locations around the world, which is pretty impressive. We are the fastest growing network company for women in the world right now. And not only that, but within the current climate, we were also, we can't say officially we were the first, but I think we might have been. But I can't say officially we were the first, but when all the, the COVID-19 outbreak happened, we actually took all of our networking events online. So women were still able to connect, they were still having that sense of community and growing their business. So that was like another aspect of what came from the Facebook group. And then we have the books. So very early on, we were hearing from being, I think, so vulnerable ourselves in sharing our stories. I think that is a huge part of what has helped us to grow the community that we've grown, because we are very, very real. The first time we tried to record this this interview, it was a Saturday, and like all my fans and followers would die at this because they know me so well, because I'm so open and honest. Everybody that follows me, all of my tribe, they know Saturday is my podcast day. I don't get dressed because I don't have to go on camera. So I just sit and record podcasts in my PJs all day. So, I'm very open and real and very normal. It's insane to think that I can go. I've got a very exciting interview with a guy this afternoon. I can't say out loud who it is yet, but he was one of the creators of a business that I think turned over about £90 billion last year. Like, you're going to have to watch this space for the interview, and I will tell you as soon as it launches. But, the fact that I go from speaking to people like that I connect with people like that now, And then 2 minutes later, you know, I'm out in the garden poop scooping or stopping my two sons from trying to throw each other down the stairs. It's insane to think what goes on behind the scenes. And because we'd shared our story so openly, there were a lot of other women who then were, you know, feeling that they could open up and connect with us. And so we were getting like an influx of these messages from women telling us that they'd been through all these incredible things and then come out the other side and were still, you know, doing what they're doing. And these, like, this went from depression to suicide attempts to kidnappings, you know, child abuse. It was absolutely shocking and heartbreaking to hear their stories, but also in the same, you know, like mind, it was like really inspiring. And we were thinking, you know, if we're inspired by these stories, there's going to be so many other women that are inspired too, and that, you know, could take inspiration from just one of the stories. And so we decided to write a book. And again, this was something that I'd never done and my sister had never done before. Pretty much the same as starting a business, you know, I just went into it and I was like, right, let's do it. And I remember the discussion we had, and we were like, yeah, we need to write a book. And I was like, I don't really know how to do it. And she said, what are we going to do? And I said, you know what? I'll Google it. And that is the story of my life. That is how I figure out most things. You know, if I don't have someone I can turn to, I will Google it until I can find the answer that I need. And so our first book, Mumpreneur on Fire, went from idea to being a #1 Amazon bestseller in 5 weeks. It was like, looking back now, we've launched about 16 books. We're about to launch our latest book later on next month, I think. But to look back at that first book, I cringe. I cringe real bad. I literally did everything myself. We didn't have a proofreader. We didn't have anyone help with like design or anything. I just threw it together and hoped for the best. But that gave us, you know, such an incredible opportunity to share other people's stories and to use our platform, you know, because lots of people want to write a book. So many people want to write a book and never get the opportunity. And so now we had that opportunity to share that with other people and to give them the chance to be a part of one of our books. And they just kind of went from one to the other. And so we have a series of 4 now in the Mumpreneur on Fire series. And I think, where is it? This is our next one. So this is the Mumpreneur on Fire Australian edition. So these stories are all from Australian authors and women in our community. So that is the latest in the series. But then, you know, we've also gone on to now write our own autobiography, which has always been, you know, an absolute, and I don't even know why, like as a kid, like, why would you want to like tell your life story? But it was just something that I was always like, I'm going to write a book and people are going to like know about my life. And I don't even know why now, like looking back, there's obviously, that's always been there somewhere. I don't know why. But yeah, we ended up writing our autobiography, which is here, laid bare. There I am on the front. Look, see, I look slightly different today. And all my fans and followers, they all laugh when I'm like, yep, see the difference? Like, there's me. Obviously, that's not me. But, you know, the difference that a bit of makeup, like, can do and all that kind of stuff. This is what people are used to seeing every single day. And that's, like, you know, another reason that people were interested in, you know, finding out more about our story. Because, you know, we do share a lot to social media, but there's also a lot that's happened in the last few years that, you know, some people may not know about. So it was really, really nice to be able to look back at the time before we started MIBA, and to even look back now. You know, I think it's about a year since we launched the book, and so much has changed. So much has changed in the last year. So I feel there may be a part 2 in there somewhere, most definitely. But yeah, it's insane to think that, you know, what started off as a Facebook group for mums to support each other has exploded into something like beyond my wildest dreams and nightmares at times.
Well, Estelle, there's several things that I'd like to put some more focus on from what you've told us so far. And rewinding right back to the beginning, actually, when you're in this scenario of you're in this relationship that's not working, and you recognize that you're wanting to change, you want something different. Can you talk us through some of that decision-making process? Because you'd been in that situation for 10 years. What made that time the time that you decided to change?
Do you know what? I get asked this question a lot, and there wasn't just something that just snapped and I was just like, there was no big argument or anything like that. It was just a sense of, I was starting to believe in myself more. And, that was what was lacking. And it still is, I was literally having this conversation with my sister yesterday, and I still have loads of blocks and issues with like not feeling good enough, because I had a lot of mental abuse for a really, really long time. So I'm still working on that now. But I think that was the point when I was starting to realize, actually, my life doesn't have to be like this. And it's like such a scary feeling to know, you don't know what's happening. You don't know what to expect. So you're very fearful because of the unknown. And I think that was what was holding me back. And I think, like I say, I just got to a point where I was thinking, actually, I could perhaps, be better on my own. There was nothing that just triggered it. It was just a slow sense of, building myself up again. But I think for anybody that's in that situation, surrounding yourself with the right sort of people is really, really important. Because if you're around one group of people that are telling you the same thing, that are really, really negative, you're going to become a part of that group of people, that mindset. So it's really important to be around people that are going to lift you up and support you. And sometimes it's not always your family. This is the hardest bit, because people, like, you would assume that these people would be the people you would go to, or your family, but that isn't always the case. And I know from personal experience that isn't always the case. So, finding, and now there's so many places online, you can find groups for anything. So, reach out to people and start to change the people that you mix with, because that will have a massive impact on, how you feel about yourself.
The next step that you took was following this photography course, and you kind of followed your passion in that respect. And I have a bit of a bugbear with the expression follow your passion, actually, but that's a rant for another time. We'll go with the story for the moment. I think what's really important here is you had something that you were passionate about, but not something you were good at. And I feel this is a situation a lot of people find themselves in. Is there something they're passionate about doing? It might be writing a book, it might be starting a business, it might be traveling to a new part of the world, but they don't actually have the skills and knowledge in order to be able to execute that. Do you have any advice for people who feel they're in this situation? They have something they're passionate about and they don't have a flipping clue what to do about it.
Google it. That's like probably my best bit of advice I could give to anyone. But on a really a genuine level, if you are passionate about it, you will do whatever you need to do to succeed. I'm not just being flippant and saying Google. The internet is an incredible place. Social media is an amazing place. So, go and find out what it is that you want to do and find out how you make it work, because the information is all out there. It really is. The information is all out there. So you just have to figure it out, have a plan, put things into place. Like, what do you want to learn? What skill sets are you going to need to have? Where are you going to find this information? Put a plan into place, have some targets. What do you want to have achieved in the next month? Do you want to have learned a new skill? If you're writing a book, what do you want to have learned? Are you going to design your own cover? If so, go and find a YouTube tutorial, or, and figure out how to use it, or a software, make that your target for that month. But be realistic, don't put too much pressure on yourself. I am so guilty of this all the time. I am a massive control freak. I put 110% into everything. And if I don't get 110% out, I'm like, well, why didn't this happen? And, I should have done more, and I could have done this better. But rather than being hard on yourself, take it as a lesson learned. Like every obstacle or every challenge is an opportunity for you to learn and grow. And that, I think, even when things fail, you can still take something from. So it's just, keep going, keep, learning all these new skills. Every day is a school day. I feel so passionately about learning something new every day.
And that's not just because we're in lockdown and the kids are at home.
Oh no. No, but I have learned an awful lot about an awful lot of things I didn't think I would ever need to know about over the past 6 weeks.
I think that would be a good segue into focusing on mums in business, because that's your specialty, that's your community. And I have had a few clients who've been single mums, and they're saying, you know what, David, like I've been the wife, I've been the mum, and now it's time for me. Now it's time for my passions and my aspirations, which I've put to the side for most of my life. But it's hugely difficult. I've got a lady that I'm working with right now. She's probably listened to this. Shout out, you'll know who you are. And she wants to do some great things, but she's just been made unemployed with this lockdown situation and coronavirus. And she's saying, well, number one priority is I have to look after my son first. Number two priority, I have to kind of get some kind of work. And then number three priority is going to be following my aspirations and hopes. So it's really, really difficult trying to juggle all these different priorities. Do you have any insight from your personal experiences and your community's experiences of how you try and get that balance, if it's even possible?
You find what works for you, and you try and make it work. You try and find that balance. It doesn't always work. You know, like I said, I am like anal about planning. So when this all happened for me, I work from home. I work like a lot of hours. And so taking my kids to school, I would be up before them in the morning. I'd be working before they got up. I would get them ready and take them to school. And then for the whole of that period, I would be sat home working. And that enabled me to have my night times with the boys and, you know, then work if I needed to after that. But with everything that's happened, they're obviously at home with me a lot now. So trying to manage that time and have time with my kids and have time when I work, and to make sure, you know, that they're learning stuff that they need to be learning. It was trying to find that balance. And to start with, I had a very structured plan. You know, I was the mum with the color-coded timetable for homeschool. Like, it's on, the boys have one in their file. I have one on my desktop. So, you know, we're all aware of what's happening at every point through the day. But then, you know, life happens and things happen. And as hard as that was for me to kind of get, and I'm still struggling even now, you know, the last few weeks, things have kind of dropped off and they're not doing as much, you know, structured work as we were doing. But it's made me realize that, you know, that time, this time now is their time. Then, you know, they're not going to fall behind 2 years at school. Everybody's in the same situation. I'm doing my best as a parent. Like we were saying, I've had to Google things. I've got like answer sheets at the side of my desk here because I'll print worksheets off. And it's just about, you know, trying to make it work for you. And everybody's going to have a different routine and a different level of balance. If you have to get up a bit earlier in the morning, I know it's a ball ache. I know. Like, I used to be one of those people that hated getting out of bed. And then I went to the next extreme and I was waking up at 5:30 doing yoga and getting like an hour and a half of work done before the kids woke up. And that feeling of like, yes, I've smashed half of my day and my kids are not even awake yet. So, you know, it's about finding things that work for you. You know, your kids, maybe they're small, they will have a nap. So, you know, you've got an hour through the day. But the thing is, like, as a parent, you know, they may not nap at that time. They're not scheduled to nap, you know, like, as much as you might think, yeah, they'll have an afternoon nap. So, you know, you have to just be flexible and fit it in around your day. And that's the thing, you know, have a routine, like, try and find some balance, but remain flexible. Because, you know, I am and sometimes I sit here and feel like a fraud when I say this, because I am the same. I'm the same as every other mum and woman out there that's, you know, thinks that they're not doing enough and they should be doing more homework with their kids and they should be doing more to work on their business and they should be spending more time with their boyfriend and, you know, all of these different things. I still feel this. So I want to like verbalize that as much as I will give this advice, because I know it works for me, I'm still the same. You know, I get stressed. I have a like long ass to-do list that sometimes doesn't get done and I get really annoyed and beat myself up. Or do you know the worst thing? And this is like crucial. I've like perfect for sharing with like busy mums. I find it dead hard to like stop, and especially when you're running a business, I find it really hard to stop because I could always find something else to do. And I have a really incredible hypnotherapist, and she was like trying to kind of wean me off working. And she was like, you know, go and watch Netflix. And I'm like, I can't relax. I'll be watching Netflix and all these thoughts will be going round and round in my head. You know, I could be doing this. Stop being so lazy. You know, you could be doing something X, Y, Z, you know. But actually that time that you're switching off from working and just, you know, watching whatever it is on Netflix is allowing your brain to process everything that's been going on. So you may think that, you know, it's like, oh, you're being lazy, or, you know, you should be doing something else. But actually you're doing yourself a favor by watching Netflix, because you're giving your time, like your brain and your body, time to just stop. And it's the same with meditation. I'm a huge fan of meditation. And I know a lot of people are like, no, I don't really know. You know, it's exactly the same thing. It's just shutting down your mind and your body just for a little time so that, you know, it can rejuvenate. So yeah, go watch Netflix is my tip.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that's been particularly hard for business owners in lockdown, is because you've kind of not got many things to do. There is this temptation, and I have fallen into this a lot over the past few weeks, and I've had to really sort of kind of crack down on myself the way that you have been as well, is that, well, actually, I haven't got anything else to do, so why don't I just start this project? Why don't I just work on that? Why don't I just plan on that? And kind of my little tactic, I guess, or something I'm finding really helpful is my state-sanctioned exercise, my one walk a day. And I will put that walk somewhere in my day that kind of splits things up for me. So like today, for example, I'm speaking to you in the morning, and then I'm doing a webinar this evening. So in the middle of the day, and it looks like we're gonna have nice weather today as well, I'll go out for a walk for an hour, hour and a half, and that just detaches me from what I'm doing. I literally can't work whilst I'm going on this walk, or I'll put that at the end of the day. So I do my work in the day, I go out for my walk, and when I'm back, it's like work mode over. So I think having these kind of routines and rituals are really important to sort of split things up for yourself.
Yeah, I've just done exactly the same. So I've just got my list out. My fiance, we were supposed to be going away today. In fact, tomorrow we were supposed to be going to Cyprus to get married.
Oh no,
which isn't happening now.
Yeah.
So I actually have 2 weeks on my hands to run with work. Do you know, that was me.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm like, wedding's cancelled. Oh, okay, what work can we be doing now then? But yeah, we've just had the same conversation. You know, I said, right, okay, I've got a podcast to record this morning. I've got a meeting at lunchtime. And then I've got an interview and my Instagram live tonight. So this afternoon, you know, I'm going to get my stuff done this morning. And then after lunchtime, we can go out, walk the dog, you know, and that is like, it's important to have that time away. And sometimes it's hard as someone that runs a business. I know I can sit here and say, yeah, I'm going to go for a walk in an hour, and then something else will happen and emails need answering, or, you know, so it's just not being too hard on yourself. You know, we do what we got to do, and you've got to make sure that you're feeling your best, because if you're feeling stressed out as a person, you know, that's not going to have any good impact on your business or anything else that you're doing either.
Mm-hmm. Let's look at your community a little bit more. We've been talking about them in praised tones so far, and 56,000 people in a Facebook group is an astonishing achievement, particularly at the moment. Facebook groups are just popping up all over the place. I've actually just started a Facebook group myself, so I'm in the group craze. And you see so many of these groups where it's like 70 people or 150 people, and it's pretty much just all of the person's friends and family who's been invited into the group. There's no engagement, there's no community. Then people start using it as like a dumping post and just spamming stuff into it, and you just see a lot of just really poor Facebook groups out there. What do you think is some of the secret sauce that has helped you to build such an engaged and such a large community as well?
Okay, so it's all happened organically as well. We've never paid for any Facebook ads or anything like that. So I think initially, you know, finding the group of people we wanted to connect with, you know your audience. So if you're going to create a Facebook group, do you know who it is that you're talking to? Who is it that you want in there? You know, once you know that, then you start thinking about, well, how can you help them? And we knew by, you know, sharing our tips and our advice, and, you know, we didn't allow it to become a spam fest. If you had something of value, you were more than, you know, you could share that. But, you know, we don't have links posted. So we only have links posted on a Friday and a Saturday. on a Friday, it's Follow Friday for Facebook, and you can drop your Facebook links there. And then on the Saturday, we have a Shout Out Saturday, which is for Instagram, and you can drop your Instagram links there. And we have like upwards of 1,000, 1,400 comments on there. So it's a brilliant way for you to raise your visibility, for you to talk about your business, but in a really non-spammy way. We were very mindful that we didn't want it to just be a place where people, like you say, just came just to throw links in and then run away. And I think that's what it is. I think we realized that there's power in numbers. So somebody said to me the other day about the group is very much like Amazon, in the respect that if they need to buy anything, they will go to the page and they will put a post in there, you know, does anybody sell this? And now, because we have such an incredible community, there's always somebody that can help. And there's nothing better than supporting another person with a small business, you know, rather than, like you say, going to Amazon or going to Boots. Being able to support each other within that community is amazing. And we've always been very value led. So people will say to us all the time, I go live every single Tuesday night. We probably put out 50 to 60 bits of content between myself and my sister a week. And like, don't get me wrong, obviously some of those are sale posts, but a lot of that is value. We've always just consistently gave and listened to what our community wanted. So we've got our main group, which is 56,000, which is women from all over the world. But we also now have our local groups. So for every place that we have our networking events, we have a local group to that area. And they like vary in numbers from sort of 150, 200, 300 up to like over 2,000. So, you know, we've got that localized support where if you want to connect with other women really local to you, you can do that. Or we've got the main Facebook group. But I think it's always about listening to what your audience want. The other day, I know we have so many posts come through Mums in Business, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds a day. And so when I do share Instagram tips, so that's like my thing that I'm kind of known for within our community. I'm known as the Insta Queen. I have like lots of like hoodies.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
It's my favorite hoodie that I like live in. Everything has Insta Queen on. I have my notebook here that has Insta Queen on. So it's kind of a name that's been given to me over the last few years. And again, because I've just consistently shown up. So, you know, when we first started the Facebook group, I absolutely love Instagram. So I was consistently sharing every day. Oh my God, look at this. Has anybody tried this? Have you know, seen that this is a new update? And so through sharing that knowledge with people, I became the person that they now come to for Instagram advice. And so the other day I said, you know, with everything that's going on in the group, I feel that a lot of people are missing things when I'm posting them on Instagram. Who would be interested in, you know, an Instagram only group where I would share all the posts into there, you know, all of my weekly lives. And I was thinking, you know, this will go one way or the other. And again, I'm all in or all out. And I was thinking, you know, will people think, oh my God, not another Facebook group? Or will they be like, oh my God, yes, we want to join? And I think there were about 150 people voted, and it was 100% for the group, which blew my mind. But it blew my mind as a business owner, because I see how many spammy, crappy groups I get added to, you know, people try and add me to. Whereas if I take myself back to being that very small business owner, I wanted to be around people who were going to, you know, share amazing value with me and help me take my business to the next level. And because of the last 3 years of, you know, building myself up to becoming that expert, people now value what I talk about. And they jump straight away at the fact, you know, we're going to set up this Facebook group specifically for Instagram tips and tricks. And again, that group will be specifically for Instagram. We won't have people trying to sell their crap in there. And, you know, if you want to share an Instagram tip, then we welcome you with open arms. And, you know, we're all here to support you. But again, it's remembering why you've set up that group. Who do you want to support and how can you do that?
You're a lady of many talents, Estelle, one of which is your writing. Am I right in remembering it's 15 books now that you've got?
We've got, so if I try and work it all out, so we have them on Kindle as well. So if we like double up there, so we've got 4 Mumpreneur on Fire in the series, and they are available on paperback and Kindle. We have Rise of the Mumpreneur. Do I have that one here? Rise of the Mumpreneur. So this was a little bit different. And the reason this was different was because we took all of the authors of this book to Marbella, and we had a 3-day writing retreat. So we were there for 3 days and supported them in writing their stories. And so that's why it's slightly different to the Mumpreneur on Fire series. So we have that one, which was available on Kindle as well. We have the Laid Bare, which is available on paperback, hardback, and Kindle. One of our books is also available on Audible. So we're like hitting every base. We have this one. This is all written in because this is mine. But we have the Guide to Growing Your Instagram. So not only do we have, the storybooks, we also have this one. It's, it's got tips in the front. So it's not like a massive book to read. There's tips. And then it's more of like a tracker. So this is to help support you in your social media and using Instagram. So we have that. We also have 2 versions of our planner. So this is like a must for any busy mom. And oh my God, not only is it a book,
That's massive.
not only is it a book, it's also a weapon. So should anyone break in your house, you can smack them over the head with it. It's good as a doorstop. It's good as a mouse mat. But it's also, it's got your whole life in there, everything to do with, daily planning with the kids, business planning. And again, we created this because our members asked for it. We said, what would make your lives easier? They said, we want a planner. What do you want in it? We want everything in it. So, we were like, well, okay then, but it's going to be this big. What do you think? And they were like, yes, we want it. And so we created 2 different versions. Like we created one when we first started the group, and then we've updated it and created another one. So they're kind of like our range of books. We've also helped other people become published under MIBA publishing. So we have, I think it's 30 Days of Amazing. I'm going to try and grab it down. Let me see if I can. Oh, sorry, this is not looking great on your screen, is it? I'm sorry about that. There we go. So we have Sparkling Moments, 30 Days of Amazing, and these are all tips, one for every day. They're all free tips things that you can do at home that are not going to cost you anything, that are going to help you feel really good. So at any point you're feeling like, you just, open the book and there's something every day that will help boost your feel-good chemicals. We've worked with the 30 Days Self-Perception Makeover, the teen edition, and that was with another one of our community members. So not only are we, doing our own books, we've also started branching out and helping other people realize their dreams and, write their own books too.
Mm-hmm. This is something I can nerd out on for a while, author to author. You've got kind of 2 different approaches here. There's the writing approach, and then there's there's 3 now that I'm saying this. There's writing, there's compiling, and then there's supporting other people to write theirs as well. Looking at the way you approach these things, let's start off with writing it yourself. Can you share with us some of how you approach the writing and creativity process?
Okay, so this again varies depending on whatever book it is. So we had somebody work with us for our autobiography. We had somebody work with us in writing our story. For the first series of books, I worked with the authors one-to-one. So I would, take them through. We wanted the books to be very authentic and written in their own voices. So it was really important that I guided them, but that I didn't write their story for them, because we wanted it to be very much in their voice. And so, we would just support them through every part of the process, create a timeline with them, explain, what are the most important parts of your story that you want to, get across to people. So it depends on, what the project is or what the book is in how we would support people. Again, the Rise of the Mumpreneur, we actually took people away for 3 days, and we didn't just sit and write. We went through, we did hypnotherapy, we did lots of other different things that were going to help, like you say, within that creative process. We had a branding photo shoot, because by the time the girls had sat for hours writing, they felt really like it was a very emotional journey for them. So, just to boost their mood again, we did their like a photo shoot for them, so they had a really nice picture for the back of the book, and it just boosted their mood at like a point in the day when they've probably had a really tough time. So it's all very personal to the project and the people that we're working with.
Do you have a story from any of the books that you've been a part of that you think would be quite important to share with people just now?
Oh, that is a tough one. That is so tough. Do you know what? It would be really, really difficult because like we have probably like 60 different, in fact, we have 120, we've helped 120 women become best-selling authors. So I would have a choice of like 120 women. I don't know if there's any specific story I could like say was most impactful, but what I would say is that, you know, don't ever think you're going through things alone. And, you know, always remember that there is someone out there that is going through something worse. And you may not believe that at the time. When you are going through what you're going through, you're going to think it's the most horrific thing ever in the world. But, you know, you're not alone. And I think that's one thing that these books do show people, you know, you're not alone, whether it's going through child loss or depression or, you know, child abuse, sexual abuse, rape, you know, eating disorders. There's so many different stories. Like there is literally just so they're so amazing. I couldn't pick one, but you know, I just think don't ever think you're alone, because hopefully these books will show people, you know, no matter what you're going through, there is somebody out there. And a lot of the stories, you know, are based a lot around shame, and people felt that by sharing their stories, it was very much like therapy for them. You know, one of our authors, I think in our first book, was due to go on a retreat. So as part of their healing journey as a sexual abuse victim, they were going to go on a retreat. And after becoming a part of our community and sharing their story with us, they said that they no longer needed to go because they had done the healing they needed to do with the love and the support of the community that we have given them. And that was incredible. And just to know, you know, that one person that we've helped write their story has benefited. And I know there's going to be like thousands of people out there that have read her story and will be inspired and impacted too. So yeah, I think, you know, just find support in other people, take inspiration, and know you're never alone, because there's always, you know, there's always someone out there that's going through the same.
We talked earlier about the the business owner's conundrum of you are always thinking, creating, planning, strategizing, and I'm sure this period in particular, I know for me, has certainly brought on a lot of creative ideas, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Estelle. What is in the future for you, the business and the community? What things are you looking to start, work on? Anything that you're allowed to share with us?
Oh, we have so many things going on. So we have our social media summit, which will be a physical meetup, where we talk all about different aspects of social media. We've got our next book coming out in June, which you've just seen, Mumpreneur on Fire Australian edition. We also have another book that we'll be launching towards the end of the year, which I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but that will be coming soon. What else have we got going on? We've always got like loads of trainings and stuff going on. Like I say, the Instagram group is going to be opening. I've been asked to speak for the Women in Biz conference again. So this was a huge conference. It was my first keynote speech that I delivered last year. And I got to share the stage with Caprice and Michelle Moan and Karen Brady. So they've asked me to go back there. The photo show, which is the biggest photo show in the whole of the UK. I've been asked to go back there and again deliver a speech on using Instagram for business. So we're just, you know, spreading our message far and wide, growing the networking events. You know, they are growing every single day. I had a message this morning, you know, we've opened in like 4 or 5 other countries, like in the space of the last week. So, you know, we just want to spread the message of MIBA, you know, and support. And hopefully, like from my personal perspective, I want to get as many people over on Instagram as I possibly can, because, you know, people are really scared by Instagram, but I know what an incredible platform it can be for raising your visibility of your business. So I am on a one-woman mission to convert everyone that I possibly can into Instagram addicts, a bit like me. So there's lots and lots going on, lots of exciting stuff happening. And I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon.
I like to bring everything that we've been talking about today full circle. And throughout this conversation, I've been the one asking the questions. But what I like to do is I like to give my guest the very last question of the interview. Estelle, do you have a question that you would like to ask our audience today, or you think the audience should be asking themselves?
Oh, do I have a question for your audience today? Yes, I do. And we're going to keep it Instagram related. So if you are not using Instagram, why are you not using Instagram? Because I'm going to share a little statistic with you. So you may be sitting listening to this. I don't know what area of business or niche you may be in. If you're listening to this, you know, I'm sure it's going to be wide and varied. So you may be thinking, you know, Instagram isn't really for me. My ideal clients are not there. My favorite statistic to share is 32% of all internet users have an Instagram account. Okay, so let's think like pretty much the entire world has the internet. You know, they have access to the internet. I know there's going to be like a few places that don't, but you know, in general, pretty much the whole world has access to the internet, which means 32% of the whole world have an Instagram account. Okay, so I'm assuming that your ideal client, or you know, the person you want to be attracting on Instagram, is probably going to be somewhere in that 1/3 of the world. You know, there's no reason to think that you shouldn't be on Instagram. So that's usually the one statistic I like to throw in there for anybody that's thinking, you know, Instagram isn't for me. Don't be put off, and you know, face your fears. Like, I'd never written a book 3 years ago. I'd never written a book. I'm now, you know, proud to say that we've published like 16 books and helped 120 women become best-selling authors. You know, if I didn't just get on with it, you know, that none of that would have happened. So step up, realize why you're scared of using Instagram, and just get started, because it's such an incredible platform. No matter whether you're an author, a publisher, you know, you're in network marketing, you're a work at home mom, whatever it may be, Instagram is definitely the platform that you need to be on to be raising your visibility.
I have a funny side note to actually share on that point. My wife has just started a new Instagram account on top of her personal one, and it's it's Basic Wine Girl. So she has been drinking a lot of wine in lockdown and getting lots of wine deliveries. So on her page, she rates bottles of wine under a tenner. So she gives like a rating, like what you should eat it with. It's been growing quite well, actually. She's had it for a week now, 10 days, and she's up like over 100 followers. And I'm like, hey, whoa, don't get too successful. I don't want you having more social media followers than I do. And she was just like, you know what, like, this is something that I do a lot. And she's quite like into wine as well, sort of like finding out like where's it from and sort of the nuances of the flavors and stuff like that. And she was like, well, I'm doing it already. Why don't I just kind of share it with people? And it gives her like a little bit of a hobby to do during this time. And it might just be a lockdown hobby, or it might be, you know, something else in the future, but she's just having fun with it at the moment.
Yeah, high five to your wife.
As long as she doesn't get more followers than me. Which she,
you need to do
she
our
probably
Instagram
will.
training.
Yeah. Yeah, so I thought it was just a funny like side note to share that you don't have to start any project feeling that this needs to be some big grand project down the line. Kind of going right back to your experience of being in a photography course, actually, that you just did it because you enjoyed it. So if there's something that you enjoy doing it, just double down on that and see where it leads you. It might just remain an interest or a hobby, or it might lead you down a new path in life.
Yep, you never know till you try.
Well, Estelle, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. For people who have wanted to find out a little bit more about all the things that you're doing, the books, the Facebook community, maybe they do want this Instagram training as well, where would you be directing people to go to find out a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Okay, So you can find most things over on our website, which is www.mumsinbusinessassociation.com. You can join our communities on Facebook just by searching Mums in Business Association, and it will give you a whole long list of all the groups that we have and your local area. You can find me over on Instagram usually. My handle is @Estelle Keeber Official. And yeah, I'm there every single Tuesday night. I go live, share my favorite Instagram tips and tricks, talk about any updates, and let everyone know what's been going on behind the scenes at MIBA HQ. So across the board, you can usually find, and again, all of our courses and the books you should be able to get access to via the website.
Estelle, I'd like to round off today by marking your enthusiasm for your personal projects, but also the enthusiasm that you have when you're speaking about your community and you're speaking about the people who you help support and represent, even from like holding up people's books and speaking about the stories that your community have shared. I could really feel that enthusiasm coming off you, and it really shows that you care about what you do, and it really shows that you care about the people that you do it for as well. So that's something that I'm going to take away from our conversation today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely to share my story. I hope your listeners have enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd appreciate it hugely if you could head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the podcast. With your review, please be as honest and detailed as you can be, because with honest and detailed feedback, that helps me to adapt and grow this podcast to most serve you, the listener. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you aren't going to miss any of the future episodes that we've got lined up for you. Until next time, remember that you are the author of your life. You hold the pen, and you can write whatever script you want for yourself. So go out today and write yourself a beautiful story.